Ahoy all, welcome. This is Lady, and we have 789 Mom, and Jacksack is our stuntman. We're coming to you today with a video with some building tips. 789 Mom's going to be building, and it's kind of like a tutorial. He's going to be building a medieval house, a small medieval house for a town. And so let's get started. This is our first episode, and we'll be having more of these to come. All right, 789 Mom, it's your turn.
Awesome. Alright, well, let's start out with a base for the house. You can use whatever you want.
I'm gonna make it
Usually
big.
when I try to build a house, I pick out a color scheme of different objects, depending on what color it is. It can be any color that you want. I try to make it matching so it looks better. So we're going to start with the base for the house, and for this kind of house that I'm doing, as it goes upwards into the air, it gets bigger all around the house. So as we go upwards, it'll expand out 1 or 2 blocks from the original base.
Okay. Be sure to count your blocks. Let us know how large it is. That way, if anybody wants to
Oh,
build it
okay, yeah.
themselves, we can tell them how wide.
I'm just doing... Okay.
Yep. And I have
Yeah,
my wand. I can use the wand to see how large
okay.
it is.
So I just did random size. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by
Yeah, I'm using my world edit
7 by
wand.
9, I think.
Okay.
I
Yep.
think it's 7 by 9.
That was 7, and yes, it is a 7 by 9. All right.
Alright, so 7 by 9 base, which is pretty large for a town. Sometimes I have smaller houses in the towns, but this will do. We can do a big one like this. So then I lay out for the style that I do for these small towns is I do logs every 2 blocks, except for those 2 that I put in center for the entrance right here, and that's where the entrance will be. You'll see
Okay.
what I do with those later. And if it doesn't line up exactly, like right here I have 2, just try to do the best that you can. I'll do something funky sometimes. I'll just work out somehow usually.
Okay.
So like that. So I try to stay around 2 each for window purposes.
Okay. Yep. I'm
So
doing
then, okay.
okay. No, I was gonna say I'm flying over top to show the layout. All right.
Okay, so now that we have this, usually houses, small houses like these, I'll do about 4 high. So just do 4 high for each of the logs.
All right. So you're
This
just
will give
adding
you,
3 more. Yeah.
yep, and this will give you a good base for your every level that you add to your house. About 4 is, I would recommend around 4.
Yeah.
It's easier to design the inside, because you'll have less space.
Yeah.
And then for the door, I'll put 2 instead of 3, and I'll show why in a minute here. For the outside, besides the wool, I will use, or outside the wood logs, I will use wool, as I'm placing right now. And it doesn't matter what color. I chose white because I like white.
Yeah, the
Contrasts the
clay
wood pretty
block.
well.
Yeah, the clay blocks contrast nicely when you do this too, I think.
Yeah,
Some of the clay blocks. Yeah.
Yep, clay blocks work pretty well. And don't be afraid to cover up some of the walls. You don't want windows everywhere because then your house will just be windows and you won't have any wall space to decorate. So feel
Oh,
free to fill in some places where you'll have some wall decorations. If you want to show that I didn't put windows everywhere for the
yeah.
first layer.
Yeah, that looks cool. Good
The
tips, yep.
next, huh?
So those are pretty good tips, yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely gives a different sort of shape rather than it being, even though it's still a square, I mean,
Where,
it has a
yeah.
lot of detail still.
Yep. Once we branch it out, it'll become less and less like a square, and you'll see as it goes upwards. The other thing I wanted to mention, since we're on the first level, is don't be afraid to use squares. Just make sure you make the squares look good, and we'll do that once I add texture to the outside, because of the exterior, you want it to not be so smooth. Because if you make it smooth, then it becomes kind of bland and not as good looking. So now I'm just layering out again with cobblestone to give it a good base. You can again use any block that you want, but I use cobblestone.
Mm-hmm.
For your second house, and as you can see, it goes out one layer from the base.
Yeah, that looks awesome. Like an overhang.
Yep, it overhangs itself. And then I'm gonna use birch wood for the flooring. I usually use wood for second floorings. And then if you want, you can use carpet on top now that they have carpets. Wool works pretty well. I just think it looks weird when you're looking from the top or from below. If you're on the first level and you look up and you just see wool instead of wood. For
Yeah.
like if you go in here, all you see is wood, and it looks nicer than if you were to see like colored wool or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So for the second layer, because it went one out, I trimmed the sizes or the sides right here. So it's kind of like more of a rectangle shape with the sides cut off.
Oh yeah.
The reason I do that is to make it look like it's expanding out a lot, but it's really not. The 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 way that I do that is putting two logs side by side on each corner, and this will make it look like it's expanding a lot out, even though it's really not. This will help your builds become more um, good to look at, I would say.
It plays into
And
the
then,
eye, yeah.
yeah, pleasing to the eye. There you go. And as again, I keep with my 2 block radius of the wood, and if I can't, then I'll just flick around with it, make it a nice pattern
Okay.
all around. And then I'll go 3 high again, or 4 high again on the logs. I
So a
have your,
total of 4 height, yeah.
yep. So I'm just doing that right now.
We have the stunt man in the background building something too.
See
I
that?
think he's copying your build. That
Is
guy's
he?
copying your build. No,
Uh-huh. Okay.
he's
I'm
learning.
learning.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll fill in with the wool again, but on the second floor, what I do a lot for second floor and above is you put the windows against your feet. And this way you can get a nice view of right below the building
Oh,
instead of if you did like one wool like I did on the first floor, you don't really get a nice view. You only get a nice view out. So if you want to show that by coming in here, you can see the difference
yeah.
between the 2 window types.
Yeah, it definitely
You,
blocks. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's nice.
and that way you can have a nicer view of what's below the building on the second floor. And then again, filling in places where you wouldn't really have windows. You don't want to have too many windows, because then it just becomes a window house basically.
Right.
Alright, so then we filled in the wool again. So you have this nice looking texture house. Alright. So then I am going to add a third layer, and this is only to make the house more appealing. The reason I do a third layer is it makes it so it doesn't look so symmetrical. It
Mm-hmm.
gives a little asymmetrical feeling to it. So what I do is again I go one out for this kind of build, and this time I don't trim off the corners. And this is so that it makes it even again more looks like it's expanding even more.
Mm-hmm.
And then on one of the sides, and I'm going to do it on this side, I'm actually going to expand it 2 out to give it a little bit difference from the first 2 previous levels, like that.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm
Get
going
a
to
feel.
fill it in again with birch wood, birch planks.
Birch planks, yeah.
And you can do a different color of wood if you want, if you don't like the way birch looks on texture pack if you're using one, or if in vanilla. And then sticking again to that 2 pattern, and as you can see it didn't line up there. I usually start in the corners, so I'll have something like that. Obviously it looks on the sides pretty well.
Yeah, this one is 3 over here, so that's all right. You don't mind the 3, or are you gonna put one in the center?
Where?
Right here. right there.
Yeah, I had a log there.
Oh, okay. It must have just been glitched out.
Oh. And again, going 4 up with the logs, giving a nice room there without giving it too much, and it's hard to decorate. Then we'll fill it in again with the same wool type that you've been using. Obviously filling in spaces where you won't want windows. And since this is the 3rd level, there's going to be less windows because it's probably a bedroom of some sort, so you want some privacy to what you're doing. And usually when you're building these in your town, if they're really close to each other, like in one of my towns, I have a lot of houses really close to each other. It's very easy to find window space and non-window space for your builds. Obviously here we don't have anything around it, so it's a little hard to picture where you want windows and where you don't.
Right. Right. That makes
But
sense.
when you have objects around it, let's say you have another build like right up next to it over here, where I am flying. It's very easy to figure out that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have so many windows on this side and more on the front because there's nothing blocking its view.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna add the roof to get, and I will recommend that you always use a different wood for your roof than your flooring. The reason is if you use, let's say you use oak for everything, like you don't change your style of wood for anything, it's gonna look pretty bland for the wood aspect, and this multicolored wood really helps the colors like really branch out and makes it look a lot better than if you were to use the same wood over and over. And there are many types of roof styles. There's, flat, obviously. There's a somewhat slanted, and those are more for modern houses. And then there's the all steps. And I say step, block, step, which it gives you like a higher roof. And for a small house like this, I'm not going to use the step or step, block, step. I usually do step, block, step because I like it a lot. But the step is really nice as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just filling it in here, obviously. You have anything you want to add, lady?
No, I mean, I'm just kind of flying around, showing them where everything is being placed. So if anybody wants to follow along and build something similar, you know. I
Yeah.
like how I like the overhangs. I see a lot of people, they make the mistake and they don't bring their roof out at least one
Yeah.
block. And I tell you, that makes a huge difference when you're building.
It. Yep. It makes a very big difference when you're filling in the roof space, because obviously right now, when you look at the roof that I have right here, um, it's open right here, and when you don't have that overhang, it doesn't show off the roof more or less than the house, and it doesn't look as good as it should.
Yeah.
And obviously add roof wherever roof should go. So at this underhang right here, even though, you wouldn't necessarily put stairs there, I put stairs there anyway to make it look like it's part of the house. I
Yeah.
do that for
Yeah.
that reason, so that it looks like it's connected.
You may help you with the roof up here?
Sure.
Okay.
Now let's fill it in spruce. So as you can see, I've already used 3 different kind of woods. I've used oak, I've used birch, and I've used spruce. And I usually use jungle wood for furniture. Any couches, any chairs, any tables that I will do once we do the interior design. I usually use one wood for each different thing. So if I'm doing a roof, it's going to be different than the floor. If I'm doing, the couches or something, it's going to be different than the roof or the floor. And if later, if you want to show off Jack's build, he's doing a step by step, like I was talking, or a stair by block stair, like I was talking about,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
and see how it goes higher.
right.
That's what a stair and a step block is, and I'm just doing a um stair by stair.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely gives it a different look, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so now, as you can see on this side, I didn't put any stairs, and as you can see, it makes it different if you do those upside down stairs. It really helps out. More fantasy. It really helps out with the looking of the roof because it looks like it's more full
Yeah,
um, as the roof gets in. And then we'll fill in that space later. So as you can see, we kind of have the roofs done now for the build. If you just want to pan around it, lady, show them the roofs and
yeah.
stuff. And as you can see, we started with a 7 by 9, but we're probably at about a 10 by 9 now probably as
Yeah.
we span out. And that's what gives it that look is back in the olden days when if you don't know much about the history is that the bigger you went up in the or the higher you went up in the build, the richer you were, so the more space you had.
Oh,
That's how
okay.
these buildings work. If you didn't know about that, Jack knows a lot about them because he lives over in Denmark. I'm gonna add a little roof here to the entrance to show off that this is the entrance. This will help people find the entrance to the house because when you have buildings close together, it can get hard to find where's what and stuff. So I
Right.
do that a lot to help with the thing or with help finding the entrance. And I usually use cobblestone there to show that the blocks end there or the logs end there.
Cool.
So obviously on the base we didn't use all the cobblestone. As you can see, there's a little bit right here. And I would just fill that in with grass so it doesn't look like you have a cobblestone yard when you're doing this base by base kind of thing that I'm doing. And then when you're doing your roads, I like to use gravel, but you can always use stone or a cobblestone if you really wanted to. So you have your gravel there for you. I'll just make it 3 wide. Alright, so then we'll just add the glass. You can use panes or full blocks. I like to use full blocks. A lot of people like to use panes, but I don't think they work as well. So yeah, like I said, I'm just filling in the glass here at the where the windows are. As you can see, now that we have this roof here, why I put no windows where no windows are, because there was going to be a roof there. And I didn't want it obstructing the window's view of whatever's outside the house.
Makes sense.
Alright, then I'm just going to put the front door in. One door always works. You can use iron if you want with a lock.
Oh, I have a
Like
question
this.
actually. I
Yes.
do. Up here, I just noticed, I don't know if you've seen this, you can see part of the floor.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's fine that you can see the floor.
Okay.
That's actually okay. We'll get to the support of the building in a minute here. I'm just doing some final touches. So I just added the door and I added a little trapdoor above it to give it a little different flair there,
Oh, okay. Right.
texture-wise,
Cool. Yeah.
instead of the white wool. Okay, so since you were talking about the floor being seen, talk about the um, support of the house. Obviously, nowadays these houses can't really be done with the technology that we do, but they used a lot of support beams. So what I like to do to make it look more believable is wherever there is log, I would put the same kind of roof wood upside down stairs. This makes it look like the level below it is really um,
It's being
making sure that
supported.
being supported. Sorry. But I only put logs or stairs where the logs meet the next level. As you can
Okay.
see, I didn't put any over here where there's a roof because there's no need for the support.
Correct. All
And
right.
it is okay if the roof or the floor is being seen. It really doesn't matter. It might give it a little extra. Because like if you're doing an overhang, you'll definitely see the roof, but you can cover that up if you really wanted to, with like half slabs or something.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yep. Okay, so then we'll go to these little openings that we have where the roof was done over here, lady.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people have trouble with this because roofs are a little hard because they're triangles and not squares and kind of hard. But what I do is I just line up logs along the side here, right?
Yep.
Along the side of the roof. And then just the middle logs that I have, I line that up and then fill in the rest with a wool like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that gives you a nice little design there. If you want something different, you can always do something different. I like it that way, because if you come out here, lady, you can see a lot better what it looks like on the outside. Troubles?
I'm having problems getting out. Thank you.
There you go.
All right.
So, see, it looks like the wood is more constructing around the roof and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll do the same up here as well. Same thing I did down there. But this one only has a 1, which is nicer. I like when the roofs come out with a block radius, like the top roof that we did,
Mm-hmm.
because it makes it a lot nicer to deal with um, design-wise, because it's very easy to have the design look a lot better than what it usually looks like.
Yeah.
Then we can do something to the top of the roof, which I'll do now. I like doing the stair method. Got this from my friend Chaos, who is also on Treasure Island servers. Some of you might know him.
Yeah,
You
he's a good
just
builder.
even, yeah, he is. You just even it out, and then I put a little Chinese, or not Chinese, like warrior hook off on the ends of it, and then just put a block in the middle, except
Okay.
that's uneven.
So that's upside down stair, and then that stair is right side up, but backwards.
Oh yeah, yep, it's upside down stair, and then one that's backwards. There you go, and then that's how you do the top of the roof.
Yeah, that looks good.
And then so obviously the build's looking really good here. To add a little bit more, I usually put trapdoors around where the windows are on the logs. This makes it look like the windows have shutters in my eyes. I don't know about you guys. That's how I like to do it. I like to put shutters where the windows are, so in case the building you can shut the windows basically.
Yeah, I
Just
like the
doing that
shutters
wherever.
on the sides. I've seen the shutters go on the tops of the windows and sometimes on the
Yep.
bottom also. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, they can go anywhere. They're a really nice design. I like the trapdoors as a more of a mechanism of design than the way that they're actually supposed to be used.
Right, as a trapdoor, right.
Yeah, supposed to be a trapdoor, but I like them better used this way. Alright, so then, now the house is looking pretty good. Um, oh, I forgot the top layer.
I guess I
Obviously
could
the
have
house,
helped you.
what?
I said I guess I could have helped you. I'm just kind of
Oh,
flying
it's
around
alright.
watching what you're doing.
No worries. So obviously this is looking pretty good now. A lot of people would be pretty impressed from this point of view. But you always could add more if you really wanted to. There's always more that you can do with a build. It's just you gotta find your own style. Um,
Jack,
you
we'll
just gotta
take a look
find
at your roof in a second.
you just gotta find out what you really like, and that's the way that you want to build. And I found that I like medieval style builds. I really don't like modern builds, like skyscrapers, because I think they're just too bland and ordinary. In my eyes. I mean, some people are really good at making skyscrapers, but it's not my thing. I like doing medieval style houses.
Yeah. I like the medieval and I like a little bit of modern also.
Yeah, I mean, some people can do modern very well. I'm just not one of those guys. The
Sure.
last thing I did to the outside was I just added these logs sticking out, and it makes it look like it's supporting the roof even more to look a bit more realistic.
Now, I have
for the
a
house.
big question for you though.
Yeah,
Do you think if you put some buttons on it, it would look even
I
better?
I'm not done.
I had to
I was
go
gonna
there.
just put buttons on there.
That's
It's
an
all right,
inside joke if
dude. I
anybody.
love buttons. Buttons are awesome. You can use buttons to the most extent for texture. They can help so much. And what I do on the builds that I've been doing recently is putting buttons above each window, because they look so nice. To add just that little bit of texture to the outside, it just makes it look so much better with buttons. And I know that if people know that joke, it's funny, but you do not know how much buttons can just add. I mean, look at it now with the buttons above the windows. It just adds a lot to what the build was and now what it is. The
Yeah.
buttons really do pop out those windows.
Yep. Don't be afraid to use buttons, folks.
Yep, use as many as you want.
Buttons are cool. Anyhow, yep.
So the
This is
the
nice.
last thing that I do, and this is the absolute last thing that I do, if it was a bigger build, there's obviously a lot more you can do because you'll have more space, is I like to put some light out in or onto the place. The one thing that I really like is glowstone, half slabs. One of the best ways you can make a good looking lantern for the outside of your house is just doing this, taking fences, sticking them out, putting the glowstone on the closest or the most outer one, and then putting half slabs, making it look like a roof.
Yeah. Supportive,
And if
but
you
looks
just
so.
yeah, and if you just stick them like right here, where like I said, this is the best kind of roof that you can get, where you have that one block radius, you can make a really nice lantern right underneath, in between the logs, and it just looks really nice, and it looks like it fits there perfectly for the house.
Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna change it tonight. I want to see how much light it really gives off.
It gives off a good amount of light. It's a
Oh,
very good
wow.
source of light.
That looks good.
It really helps
Yeah.
out during nighttime because you don't want too much light. You don't want torches everywhere. Torches are nice sometimes, but if you have too many, then the build can become very lit up, and it's not something you really want. You want to play with shadows and darkness sometimes of builds. Because if you think about it, houses aren't always lit everywhere. You don't have torches at every turn house.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen some building styles of others and
Where it's a
yeah,
torch like every block,
every
you don't want that.
exactly,
This
exactly.
looks bad.
Yeah, that looks really good. I was looking this one over here you did a double lantern.
Yep,
So that
I
looks
did do a
really
double.
nice.
And the reason I had to do a double there is obviously it's not a one roof. It's the
Right.
two stairs come together right there, as you can see.
Yeah.
So that is basically the outside of one of these houses. And obviously you can add more. Like if you came over here, you could probably add some kind of funky design or some kind of like fixture here, like
Yeah.
to these barren walls. But if you're like, again, if you're in the town, you're gonna have a build right
Right
next to it.
beside it.
I
Yep.
mean, right beside it. So it doesn't really matter. It's mostly the front and the back, mostly where you want to put a lot of texture. Front mostly over anything else. I did say that was going to be the last thing I added, but I forgot about one thing that's pretty important, and it shows or gives off a lot of color to your build, to your outside, to your texture. Um, are these right here. Some of the best things you can do are flowers and little pots and pans. A flower pot is a great tool for the inside of a house. But on the outside, this is one of the best things you can do in front of windows is having these flowers because it just makes the house look vibrant and nice.
Well,
You
the other
just put them
thing
where,
too I'd notice is like all of a sudden it just gives it color too.
yeah, it gives off a lot of color, which is nice.
Even though it's just a little flower, it definitely adds quite a bit to it.
Yep. And just add it wherever it makes sense. Like it makes sense to put it here, but it doesn't make sense to put it out in the open because if you go underneath, it's just dirt.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
you don't want to put it at every window. You want to put it at windows that make sense. So like at the front, I have one right next to my front door because there's room there to put one there. So wherever it makes sense to put those flower beds, put them because it will really bring out colors. And you can use dandelions, and soon there's going to be a whole new bunch of flowers once 1.7 comes out, and it's going to really help with getting out color into builds with just the little details right there,
Oh, I didn't
which
know
is
they got new flowers coming out. That's going to be cool. Did you also
and
see, I know we're not doing a video on 1.7, but they're coming out with colored glass, and I was really
yep,
excited about that actually.
yeah,
But
that's going to be fun too.
we'll be using that in another episode for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right,
Definitely
so
for like cathedrals and
yeah.
making awesome stained glass.
All right, guys, I want to thank 789 Mom. This was an excellent tutorial. This was the exterior build of this home. We're going to come at you in another episode and give you some more help with interior design and what to do on the inside. So anyway, Jack is there. Do y'all see Jack? Can anybody spot Jack? Let us know where he is in the comments. I do see Jack. All right, 789 Mom, thanks a lot, and we'll see you
Yep.
guys in a later video.
Yeah.